Hello, friends. Today we are going to take up a very interesting topic of neurology that is called seizure disorder. Seizure disorder is also known as epilepsy. This word epilepsy you might have heard again and again, which is called mirgi in Hindi. Epilepsy is a global health problem affecting approximately 50 million people worldwide. It is one of the most common chronic neurological disorder in the world and has serious physical, economical and discrimination consequences in some parts of the world. Many people think that epilepsy is due to the evil spirit possession, and the modern science says no, it is due to some chemical changes, neurotransmitter changes in the body, due to the metabolic changes in the body, and so on. But today, look at epilepsy from the scientific perspective, from the medical perspective. So let's see the definition. First of all, it is a disorder in which nerve cell activity in the brain is disturbed. So it is a disorder in which nerve cell activity in the brain is disturbed. Or you can say that epilepsy is a recurrent sudden changes in the consciousness, behavior, sensations and or muscular activities beyond voluntary control that are produced by excess neuronal discharge. The incidence of epilepsy, it is more than 1 million cases per year in India, and in the world there are so many cases of epilepsy. The etiology, if we see, the cause may be genetic or an acquired brain injury such as trauma or stroke. So if we see the causes one by one, number one is the brain infection including meningitis or encephalitis. Second, brain injury that occurs to the baby during labor or the childbirth. Number three, brain problems that occur before birth, that is the congenital brain disease. Next, brain tumor, which is rare cause of the epilepsy. Next is the drug abuse. Some people are taking drugs regularly and they also may become the victim of the epilepsy. Then electric shock may lead to epilepsy, and immune system abnormalities also can cause epilepsy. Sorry, the people with metabolic changes may have the epilepsy. So after seeing the causes of epilepsy, now let us see the triggers of epilepsy. Triggers are certain situations or certain points which lead to the convulsions, which lead to the epileptic fits. So triggers can differ from person to person, but common triggers are tiredness and lack of sleep. Second is the stress. If the person is stressed out and worked a lot, does not get rest, they may get the epileptic fits. And third is alcohol and not taking the medication. The alcohol may lead to epilepsy, and the people who are on the anti-epileptic drugs, if they don't take the medicine, that leads to epileptic fit. Now we will go to the pathophysiology of epilepsy. Pathophysiology of seizures or epilepsy are caused by paroxysmal discharge from the groups of neurons which arise as a result of excessive excitation or loss of inhibition. The key unit of neurotransmission is the synapse, and a fundamental component of synapse are ion channels. So what happens? The neurons which become hyper excitable and they lose the inhibition, and the neurotransmission is the synapse, and a fundamental component of synapses are ion channels because there is the electricity current. The pathophysiology of epilepsy is typically viewed as a shift in the balance between the inhibitory, that is gamma aminobutyric acid GABA, and excitatory glutamate. Neurotransmission is forever the latter. There are neuropeptides in neurons other than classic neurotransmitters which also play an important role in epilepsy. So first of all, the GABA and glutamate play a role in leading to the epilepsy, and the second is the neuropeptide which are in the neurons, and they cause the epilepsy, means they play an important role in the epilepsy. After this, we have the classification of epilepsy. The classification is very interesting because it is of so many types. It is not only of one type but so many types. But before that, let me explain to you the food triggers also. The food triggers of epilepsy are stimulants such as tea, coffee and chocolates, sugar, sweets, soft drink, excess salt, spices and animal proteins. They may trigger seizures by suddenly changing the body metabolism. Allergic reaction to white flour also can cause it. Now let's see the epilepsy types and their symptoms side by side. The seizure types are divided into two major groups. Number one is generalized seizures and number two is the partial seizures. The generalized seizures produced by the abnormal electrical impulses present throughout the entire brain. So in generalized seizure, what happens? There are abnormal electrical impulses and which are present in the whole brain. And in the partial seizure, that is also known as focal or localized. In partial seizures this is produced by electrical impulses that generate from relatively small or localized part of the brain, referred to as focus. So we have seen in generalized that it can be throughout the brain. The impulses, electrical impulses can be throughout the brain. But in partial seizures, it can be from a localized area, from a definite area of the brain. Now we will classify the generalized epilepsy. Generalized epilepsy is of many types. It is mainly of 6 types. So we will see them one by one. Number 1 is generalized tonic-clonic epilepsy, which is also known as grand mal epilepsy. So generalized tonic-clonic epilepsy, which is also known as grand mal epilepsy. The patient loses consciousness and usually collapses. The patient has loss of consciousness, which is followed by generalized body stiffness, cause the tonic phase of the seizure, and after that violent jerking takes place, called the clonic phase of the seizure. So first of all, body becomes rigid, and which is known as the tonic phase, and then the body starts jerking, which is known as the clonic phase. After which the patient goes into the deep sleep called the postical or after seizure phase. During grand mal seizures, injuries and accidents may occur, such as tongue biting and urinary incontinence. Second type of generalized epilepsy is absence. The name itself is absence, because here the symptoms are very less or no symptoms. The symptoms are brief loss of consciousness just for a few seconds. With few or no symptoms, the patient typically interrupts an activity and stares blankly. These seizures might occur several times a day. Patient may not be aware that they are having a seizure. So patient is not aware that they are having a seizure, and they look or they stare in the same place for a long time. Then third is the myoclonic seizures. Myoclonic seizures are sporadic and brief jerking movements, usually on both sides of the body, take place. Patient sometimes describes it as brief electrical shock. When violent, these seizures might result in dropping or involuntary throwing of the objects. So in myoclonic, the main thing is that the patient becomes hyper excitable, and he might drop and throw the things or throw the objects without realizing it. Now the fourth one is clonic epilepsy. Chronic epilepsy is repetitive rhythmic jerking movements. It involves both sides of the body at the same time. Increased mucus production slowly tapers off, leaving the patient drowsy and confused. So this also is for the few moments, and it subsides slowly, and the patient becomes drowsy and confused. Next is the tonic epilepsy. Tonic epilepsy symptoms are muscle stiffness and rigidity. Pupils dilate and roll up to one side. Glottis closes, causing noise on exhalation, urinary incontinence, loss of consciousness for 20 to 40 seconds. Number 6 is atonic. Atonic epilepsy consists of a sudden and general loss of muscle tone. So in atone means the muscles become atonic. They lose the muscle tone, particularly in the arms and legs, which often results in fall. Because when the patient's legs and arms lose their tone, then obviously patient has no control on his body and patient might fall. The number 2 big classification is partial epilepsy classification. In partial epilepsy classification, we have simple partial epilepsy. In simple partial epilepsy, there is awareness which is maintained, and it is further divided in the 4 groups according to the nature of their symptoms. So simple partial means patient is fully aware that they are having the epileptic attack, and these are divided into 4 groups. Number 1 is motor. Motor symptoms include movements such as jerking, stiffening, muscle rigidity, spasms, and head turning. As you see, it is called motor epilepsy. So the movement is involved, and due to these movements, it is called motor epilepsy. Then second is the sensory. In the sensory, the symptoms involve unusual sensations affecting any of the five senses. For example, vision, hearing, smell, taste, or touch. Next is autonomic epilepsy. Autonomic symptoms most often involve an unusual sensation in the stomach termed as gastric uprising. So the patient feels that something is rising in the stomach and they feel uneasy during the convulsion. Then number 4 is psychological. The symptoms in this type are characterized by various experiences involving memory, the sensation of déjà vu, emotions such as fear or pleasure, or other complex psychological phenomena. So this is all about the simple partial epilepsy. Now let us see the complex partial epilepsy. In this epilepsy, awareness is impaired. That means patient does not know what is happening around him or her. Symptoms include impairment of the awareness. Patients seem to be out of touch or staring into the space during these seizures. So patient doesn't know what is happening and what is in front of him, what is behind and what is at the side, and they simply stare at the space. During these seizures, some complex symptoms may be there called automatism. It consists of involuntary but coordinated movements that tend to be purposeless and repetitive. Common activities involve lip smacking, chewing, fidgeting, and walking around. Then partial seizures with secondary generalization. The symptoms are the symptoms of the partial seizure that evolves into a generalized seizure, typically a generalized tonic-clonic seizure. Approximately 70% of patients with partial seizures can be controlled with medication. Partial seizures that cannot be controlled with medication can often be treated surgically. So we have seen so many types of epilepsy. First of all, we have seen the generalized epilepsy, in which number 1 is generalized tonic-clonic or grand mal. Number 2 is the absence. Number 3 is myoclonic, and number 4 is clonic, and number 5 is tonic, and number 6 is atonic. Then the second major type of epilepsy is major epilepsy of the second type is partial epilepsy. Under this we have simple partial epilepsy. Simple partial epilepsy has further classification. One is motor, second is sensory, third is autonomic, fourth is psychological, and then we have to see the complex partial, in which the awareness is impaired. Patient doesn't know what is happening and they have some involuntary movements and activities. After that, we have partial seizures with secondary generalization. There are other types of epilepsy also. For example, akinetic seizures. It is similar to the tonic epilepsy. After that, there is febrile seizures. It is common in 5% population in under 5 years old children. It is familial, non-progressive, and it does not result in brain damage. Seizures occur when fever rises. EEG becomes normal after 2 weeks of seizures. Now let's see the status epilepticus. Status epilepticus, in this usually there are generalized grand mal seizures. Seizure is prolonged and there are repetitive seizures without gaining consciousness and unresponsive to treatment. It can result in low oxygen supply and possible cardiac arrest. So this is happening continuously in the patient, and that's why it may lead to the hypoxia and the cardiac arrest. Now clinical manifestations, we'll see clinical manifestations. Number 1 is subjective. Subjective, what the patient feels, that is known as subjective. Aura occurs, which is warning sensation such as seeing the spots or feeling dizzy, often precedes a tonic-clonic seizure. Second, loss of consciousness during seizure. Third, lethargy often follows in post-ictal phase. Fourth, dyspnea. Now we will go to the diagnostic test for epilepsy. Number 1 and most common diagnostic test is EEG. EEG is most common to diagnose epilepsy, and second is the blood studies to rule out the lead poisoning, hypoglycemia, infections or electrolyte imbalance. Second is the lumbar puncture to rule out infections or trauma. Third, skull X-ray, CT scan, ultrasound of brain, brain scan, arteriogram or mnemoencephalogram to detect any pathological defect. And the next is MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. So after having seen the diagnostic test, let us go to the therapeutic intervention. In therapeutic intervention, we have got 2 types. Number 1 is the medication and number 2 is the surgery. So let's see the medical management. Medical management of epilepsy require anticonvulsant drugs or anti-epileptic drugs. Many medications are used in the treatment of epilepsy and seizures, including carbimazepine, that is also known as carbatrol, tegretol and others. Then second is phenytoin. Phenytoin is known as dilantin and Phenitec. Third one is valproic acid. It is also known as Depakine. Fourth is oxcarbazepine, or it is called oxtellar trileptal. And fifth one is lamotrigine, which is known as Lamictal. Sixth one is gabapentin, which is also called Grelise, Neurontin, and seventh one is topiramate. Topiramate is known as Topamax also. And next one is phenobarbital. Next is zonisamide. So all these, most of these drugs are used for the epilepsy. The treatment is usually started with one drug, but if the seizures are not controlled with one drug, then the second drug may be added slowly. All these drugs cause some side effects. So first of all, let us see the mild side effects. Under mild side effects, one is fatigue, second is dizziness, and third is weight gain. Then there are severe side effects also when doctor's attention is required. Under side effects which are severe type, the patient may have mood fluctuations, sometimes very happy, sometimes very sad. Then second is the skin rashes, third is loss of coordination, fourth speech problem, and fifth is extreme fatigue. Then Lamictal drug may increase the risk of aseptic meningitis of the brain and spinal cord. That's similar to bacterial meningitis. If drugs are not effective on the patient or patient becomes drug resistant, then the surgery is required, and there are other therapies also. So these patients undergo surgery. The number one surgery is it is done to remove or alter an area of the brain where seizures originate. It is most effective when seizures originate in one particular area of the brain. Around 70% of the people who undergo temporal lobe surgery, they stop their seizures, and for the 20% of patients, seizures are reduced. So this surgery is helpful to certain extent because 70% patients get relief and about 20% of patients they have lesser convulsions or attacks. Then side effects of surgery or complications. Number one, memory and language problems may occur after the temporal lobectomy. Number two is temporary double vision. 3. Increased number of seizures after corpus callosotomy. But the seizures should be less severe after this. Next is reduced visual field after a hemispherectomy. So one surgery we have seen already in which temporal lobectomy is done. Then number second is cortical excision. In cortical excision, removal of the outer layer, that is called cortex, and anterior temporal lobe on the half of the brain is done. It is usually performed in children who have damaged hemisphere and weakness in one side of the body. 80% patients improve after this surgery. Now, last but not the least, there is palliative procedures. Palliative procedures are performed when focus of seizures cannot be determined and the movement, speech or vision become critical. That means the neurologist cannot find with all the diagnostic tests where the seizures are starting from, which area of the brain is affected. In this case, corpus callosotomy is done. In corpus callosotomy, the surgery, the anterior 2/3 of the corpus callosum is sectioned. If the patient does not improve, then posterior 1/3 of the corpus callosum is removed. Sometimes complete callosotomy is done that leads to the prevention of severe seizures. They may develop right-left confusion with motor problems, apathy and mutism. Now we will see the third type of surgery, that is called multiple subpial transactions. In this, a small incision is given in the brain to interfere with the spread of seizure impulses. So, if the seizure impulses are interfered, then the seizures may not occur or they may become less. Fourth is vagus nerve stimulation. Vagus nerve stimulation, it involves the implantation of a device that produces electrical signals to prevent the seizures. It is similar to a cardiac pacemaker. The device is implanted under the skin near the collarbone. Common side effects are tingling sensation in the neck and mild hoarseness in the voice only during the stimulation. Now the nursing management we will see. The nursing management is very important because a nurse is with the patient for 24 hours and she has to observe each and every activity of the patient, the seizures and the medications at the right time. So let's see the nursing management. Nursing management of the patient during the critical phase and then during the severe phase, during the critical or serious phase, and what all preparation has to be done, what all precautions to be taken by a nurse, all that is given in the nursing care. First of all, protect the patient from injury by removal of sharp objects. Second, prevent the patient from fall by providing the side rails which should be padded, and remove the pillows. Remove secretions by suctioning to prevent asphyxia and to keep the airway clear. Put the patient on side-lying position to help in draining the pharyngeal secretions. Next is never leave the patient alone. The patient should not be restrained during the convulsions. So if the nurse leaves the patient, then a relative should be there who can inform the nurse to whenever a convulsion occurs. Or patient should be kept near the nursing station cubicle. Then reduce the fear of seizures by giving psychological support and the reassurance. Provide patient and family education and teaching the patient self-care. Next is assessment and monitoring of the respiratory and the cardiac functions. Then administer the drugs from time to time, and documentary seizure activity and the patient's response is important. The IV line is closely monitored if it is there. During the seizures, keep a padded tongue blade and oral airway in the patient's mouth to prevent the injury in the mouth. Take the rectal temperature because oral temperature may be broken during the seizures. Protect the patient's head from injury. Then loosen the tight clothings. Do not force anything in the mouth. Now let's see what type of diet should be given to the patient, which is very important. So the special diet which is known as the ketogenic diet, that should be given to the patient, which is a high fat, low carbohydrate and controlled protein diet. So this is ketogenic diet with high fat, low carbohydrate and controlled protein. It helps control the seizure. Avoid white bread and non-whole grain cereals, biscuits and cake. Honey, high sugar drinks, mashed potatoes, and the watermelon. So these are all the diets which can be given to the patient, which should be avoided for the patient. Then certain vitamins are important for the seizure patients, that is vitamin B6 and magnesium and vitamin E and thiamine. They are very good for the patient. So this is all about the epilepsy. So first of all, we have seen the definition of epilepsy, then we have seen the causes and the risk factors of epilepsy. After that, we have seen the pathophysiology, then we have seen the clinical manifestation, diagnostic procedures, treatment of the patient, medical and surgical treatment. Then after that, we have seen the nursing management of the patient. So